Hey y'all, you want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead, not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner, and we use IXL, and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you're covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life, Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life, Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend. Warning. Each episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or of a sexual nature and are for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off the internet or from some television show. These facts I'm retelling were presented to me by the victims of the crime or the perpetrators who committed the crimes. My descriptions of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own two eyes. If you are going to get offended, turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the Hotline. And y'all, we've done several of these Hotline episodes, and I'm Woody Overton, your host as always. Today, we're going to be talking about the case of Jessica Chambers. Now, if you're not familiar with it, then I suggest you go watch the documentaries that are on it or Google it, etc., because I'm going to be taking direct questions from our patron members and our Dream Team members that recommended I look at this case and to see
what it is I could come up with, right? And y'all, I looked at it, and it's just absolutely the most horrible example of police work I've ever seen in my entire life. Also, prosecutorial or district attorney work that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just crazy. And what gets me so much about it is it's handled so badly that they had to try him 2 times. Quentin Tellis, y'all, the guy that's accused of murdering her. They tried him 2 separate times, and it's just everything from the get-go, from as soon as she was discovered until the end of the second trial, which was a hung jury also. It's just a fucking joke, man. The real losers in this situation are Jessica Chambers' family members. I mean, for them to have to sit through this shit show of prosecution is just horrible. And that's what got me a little pissed off about this one. And you know what? I'm number 1 pro law enforcement, okay? I'm number 1 pro district attorney. But I also believe that if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you need to call somebody, right? There's no shame, or there are no stupid questions. And even the people that they call, man, shit, some of them, when it came to trial, it's just ridiculous. So I'm sure I'll be banned from northern Mississippi after I get done with this episode, but we're going to get right into it. Now, a lot of these questions are texted in, and a couple of them are audio. So bear with me, and I'm going to answer the questions directly, and I'll add my thoughts to their questions. And so stay tuned, but I appreciate y'all, each and every one of you, for listening, and let's get started. Our first question comes from Kim in Central Florida, who's a huge fan of the show. Kim, I love you. And thank you for calling in the question. So here it is.
I have a 2-part question about Jessica Chambers. The first part is, if you would have been one of the first responders on the scene, what would have been the first things that you did to secure the scene? The second part of the question is, what mistakes do you think that the first responders there made in making this such a difficult case to solve? Thanks. Bye.
Okay, Kim, thank you. And I guess it's a good place to start, right? The first responders show up on the scene, y'all. It's a burning vehicle that's jammed up against this fence, right? First responders, if you don't know, from outside the country, that can be paramedics or firemen or even law enforcement, right? The first ones to respond to the scene. Now, this fire department was largely made up of volunteer members, but they still train them. I mean, they don't just take anybody off the street and you don't have any training and just give you a helmet and say, hey, go put out a fire, right? And all the volunteer firemen I've worked with over the years are just wonderful people, and they truly do care about helping, etc. So anyway, but the first thing, Kim, I don't think the first responders messed up anything. All right, let me say that. They are concerned with responding to the scene, maintaining life or saving life if they can, and of course, putting out the fire. So then that's what they did. And when they arrived upon the scene, they see Jessica Chambers coming out of the woods, and she's saying something that appeared to be Derek or Eric or whatever, but she's burnt to shit. And so they render her first aid and do what they can and hurry up and get her to the hospital. But I don't think that, and I know that this is crazy, but it certainly sounds bad, right? That she's saying this name or appears to be saying a name. But you know what? When your body is burnt to shit like that, I have to agree with the experts that testified later on. I don't think that she could say anything. I mean, you could ask her who did it, and she might have said Donald Trump. Hell, who knows? But I don't think she's enunciating clearly or could really comprehend, because your body is in shock. And when she was burned as badly as she was, yeah, I mean, it's no fucking way that I think that she can even fully comprehend what she was saying, but that's my personal opinion. I wasn't there. So I don't think they screwed anything up, Kim. the police fucked everything up. All right. First of all, they should have arrived on scene, and once they knew they had a burned girl and they observed that, they immediately should have swapped it to a crime scene. Now, what I would have done is called in backup as much as I could get and started to get some control on the outer limits of the scene, right? Taped off an area like you wouldn't believe, even though the firefighters are there working. The second thing I would have done is I would have assigned somebody to take the name of every firefighter or every person who had been inside the scene where the car is, every person that had contact with Jessica Chambers. I want a log, all right? If possible, if you have video equipment, I would have had a video going on and you would video the crowd. That would have excluded this theory that there was a black guy in the crowd that, you know, had a strange look on his face, whatever, and they told him he couldn't be there. At least they would have had video footage of him. But the main thing is maintaining the integrity of the crime scene. Now, look, every crime scene is not going to be the same. You're not going to have the chance to show up and the body's already dead and section off whatever and do it correctly. And every crime scene is not going to be during the daytime or in a confined space, but they should have, as soon as possible, as soon as the vehicle was extinguished, and after getting a list of everybody that was there, because of the volunteer firemen, God bless them, I love them all, but they get excited. And, you know, I'm sure every one of them wants to be involved in putting out the car fire and all that. And yes, water will destroy evidence and stuff like that, but shit, what you going to do? Let the car burn to the ground? It had to be put out. But as soon as it's extinguished, I would already have the log of all the firemen, and I would have sent somebody to get all their statements of exactly what they saw and what they observed, independent of each other, without letting them talking to each other, especially when you know that it's a crime, or appears that it's going to be a crime because she didn't die till the next morning. But most importantly, how in the hell do you not search the area for evidence? All they did was collect evidence that was right in the immediate vicinity of the car. Now, the victim, Jessica Chambers, comes from the woods, and the car is jammed up against a fence with a gate, and they admit they never looked on the other side of the fucking gate. I mean, how do you not do that? I would have extended it out a quarter of a mile just on the chance, especially go search the direction that she comes from. I mean, hell, that might have been a gas can in there. That might have been a lighter with some DNA on it. It could have been anything. Hell, the bad guy might still be there. I mean, shit, they admit later on that they never looked outside the vicinity of the car. Well, you know what that's called? That's called small department, no training. I mean, they could have borrowed lights. They could have called out State Police Crime Lab. They could have lit up the whole area. They should have done a grid search once the area was cordoned off and literally gone through the surrounding area with a fine-tooth comb. And I don't give a shit if it's a beer can that appears to be 20 years old, crushed with rust on it, that's inside that crime scene. I'm taking it to process it for evidence. And I firmly believe, I know without a shadow of a doubt, they fucked it up from the get-go right there, because there's no such thing as a perfect crime. I don't even care if you burn the car. You are going to leave evidence. Now, she didn't come out of the car when they got there. She came from the wooded area. They never searched the area. They admit, nope, yeah, we collected right on the side of the car, the evidence, and we never looked anywhere else. Unbelievable, blows my mind. Hell, they could admit that they made the mistake and gone back the next day and looked. But they didn't. They never looked. How do you not cross the fence? How do you not go to the area that the victim comes from and see where she came from? I mean, it's amazing. Blows my mind. And just, I get it. Their head honcho guy was out of town and he's on the phone call trying to give these people directions. Well, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing either. And he proved that when he testified in the first trial. He was a bumbling idiot on the stand. So just really horrible. And I think the whole case was lost right there against Quentin Tellis, was lost right there by them not processing that scene correctly. All right, let's go to the next question. Okay, our next question comes from Cassie Wallace from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Cassie, you know we love you. She's awesome, patron member and Dream Team moderator. So let's listen up to what Cassie has to say.
Hey, Woody, this is Cassie from Kentucky. Just wondering on the Jessica Chambers case, what is your overall opinion on how the police and first responders handled the crime scene? And what do you think about the mystery man? Don't you think they would be able to point him out if it was Quentin? Or who do you think that could have been? Alrighty, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so Cassie, I just answered Kim from Florida question about that on responding to the scene and how I think they should have handled it differently. The mystery man. Okay. Absolutely. If it was, first of all, I don't think Quentin would have been standing there. I know some murderers like to come back and watch the commotion of the crime scenes they committed, but no, I believe Quentin ran like a little bitch and got the fuck out of town. Now, as far as some black guy standing there in the crowd and the one guy saying that he saw him and told him he couldn't be there or whatever, I don't know about that shit. You have a lot of looky-loos in the country. If they see a car fire and the road shut down, well, you know what? They can't go anywhere. They're going to get out of the car and walk up to see what's going on. Their curiosity, right? And so I don't put any stock in that. And I definitely don't believe it was Quentin Tellis. And the fact that it was never pursued or whatever is shame again on the police department. If, like, you know what? Again, when they established on the crime scene, I would have got the name of every swinging Tom, Dick, and Harry or Harriet that was on the scene, male or female. If you're in my crowd, I'm going to find out who you are in case I do need something like this happens. And it comes up because the defense attorney loves some unidentified black man standing in the crowd. They blame it on him, right? So yeah, that was a fuck up on their part, but I don't think that was anything to that. But I certainly would have followed up on it, Cassie. But thank you for your.
Hey y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it, and it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's join, joinmochi.com, and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something. And all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gaba will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Question, dear. Hey, y'all. The next question is a texted in question. It says, regarding Chambers' case, how easy is it to pass a polygraph? I'm unconvinced Tellis did it, though I do think he's capable. And this is one of those anonymous patron members that sent this in, but I appreciate you sending it in, whoever you are. And some people don't like their voice on the radio. I get that too, or on the podcast, I guess you should say, not radio. Y'all, I am a state licensed and board certified polygraphist or lie detector examiner. And what they're talking about is supposedly Quentin Tellis took a polygraph examination and passed it. I'm calling bullshit. Okay. Now listen, I do not think this guy has the mental capacity to beat a polygraph test, or what that's called, y'all, is a countermeasure. A countermeasure is a deliberate attempt on the part of an examinee to do something to alter the outcome of the test. There's 3 types of countermeasures. There's mental, physical, and narcotic. All right. I have all the websites on how to beat the polygraph, how to steam the polygraph, antipolygraph.org, etc. And I read them all the time. They do have a lot of true and correct testing information on those sites. But the one thing they don't tell you is using the countermeasure never makes a guilty person look innocent. It just messes up the charts 99% of the time. And it makes them where they can't be scored and you get a result of inconclusive. And I don't know who did Quentin Tellis' polygraph or if it was even a polygraph, because there's voice stress tests, and they prove you have a better chance of flipping a coin and getting it right than using that. But some small law enforcement agencies still use it as an interrogation tool to try to get people to confess. And there's, as far as I know, in the state of Mississippi, there's no license or requirement to have that. So they could have paid anybody to come in and run a supposed polygraph. I would have to look at the charts and everything and see what the deal is. But even then, you have good and bad in every profession. And they're just like there's good cops and bad cops. There's good polygraphists and bad polygraphists. And there's nothing to say that his family didn't know the polygraph examiner or pay him off or whatever. But do I think he beat a polygraph? Hell no. And I don't even know if he took one. So I don't, that was never elaborated on. I heard it mentioned in there at some point, but it is not easy to beat a polygraph if the examiner knows what they're doing. And I can promise you, you don't want to come take one with me and try to cheat me or beat me. So, but thank you for your question, Anonymous, whoever you are. I love you and I appreciate you. And thank you for being a patron member. Y'all, if you have this hotline number, you know you're near and dear to my heart. I love all my fans, but you're near and dear to the heart because for supporting us financially. Let's look at our next question. Okay, our next question is from our dear friend and a huge supporter of the show, Sam from Dallas. So let's see what Sam has to say.
Hey, Sam from Dallas here. The programs that I've listened to, be it on TV or podcast, make an issue of how they handle the crime scene. And I'd love to hear more about that. And I'm curious, from your experience, so the car that they moved, apparently prematurely, was burned and then sprayed, by the fire hoses. Would any evidence have survived from that? Anything that you have to say on this case, I'm actually interested. I'll make one more comment, and that is, as a juror, I would never have convicted Quentin. There was enough reasonable doubt for me with two unpursued suspects, Derek Holmes and the mysterious guy with the, Peterson stairs. So I wouldn't have convicted him. Anyway, curious to hear what you have to say. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, Sam, thank you. You brought up one point that I didn't touch on earlier on the crime scene. You're right. They should have not moved the vehicle until after it was properly processed. And even then, they took the vehicle and just put it out in like a storage yard, like a tow yard for the sheriff's office, like impound or something, right? And just left it out to the elements. What I would have done is had Louisiana State Police Crime Lab process what they could in the field. And we've done this before. I had a murder on Christmas Eve where we were praying that it wasn't a murder. I was praying the guy got drunk and fell asleep in his car, but we didn't get the autopsy done until the day after Christmas. But anyway, the guy was burned to death in his car, and the autopsy showed that he had been stabbed to death. Then we had to go back and work it. But still, we photographed and processed what we could at that time, and still tarped and wrapped the car and had sent it in for processing. So they should have processed it, filmed it, videotaped every square inch of it. As I always say, like you're working a homicide, which means you never get another chance to go back, you video or take pictures of everything, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone back, especially in cold cases and stuff, or even on active cases, gone back and looked at the photographs or the video when it came out, and I see something I didn't see before because it was dark or whatever, right? Somebody else is shooting the video. But I would have videoed that sucker to death. I would have photographed it 1,000,000 times over. Then got what they call a rollback tow truck, which is one that rolls back and has a bed that lifts up. And I would have winched it up on that thing, and I would have tarped the shit out of it, right? That way, if there is any possibility evidence, even though it may be slim, right? Those are high pressure water hoses and foam and all that stuff with chemicals, whatever they use. But it doesn't mean something didn't get stuck under the seat. Something just could have been something. And they take it and stick it out in an impound yard because they're so damn sure of themselves. It's like a calamity of errors, right? They're so damn sure of themselves that they're going to get their man or whatever. They just fucked up the evidence. I mean, they take it, and not only do they not send it to the crime lab to be processed, just in case there was something, which gives the defense attorney a field day, but then they put it out there what's in a secure lot. That's bullshit. Anybody could have crossed those fences and had access to the car. They would have never, had they found something later on, if they had found a video of Quentin Tellis in the car or lighting the car on fire inside the car after that, a good defense attorney would just say it was planted after the fact. That's why you maintain a chain of custody of the evidence from the time you get it until the time the trial is done, even after the trial is done. So yeah, another huge error on their part and a joke. And let me tell you something. I would have not found him guilty of shit. Not because he's not guilty. I know that bastard did it. I promise you he killed her. But reasonable doubt is reasonable doubt, okay? And there is so much reasonable doubt in this case, not because of lack of evidence per se that Quentin Tellis did it, but because the evidence that wasn't collected and the evidence that was collected was presented in such a shit fashion. I mean, what a fucking joke. Like the federal investigator that asked him, that's interviewing him, and he admits, yeah, he keeps changing the story, right? Quentin Tellis does. After they present him with the fact, well, no, we know you were with you lied. You weren't with your friend, your alibi, you lied. I mean, why does he keep lying, y'all? Because he's fucking guilty. And the one thing that I always tell bad guys is one thing that never changes is the truth, right? So he keeps lying and he changes his story. When they feed him more evidence than have, he changes his story. The fucking agent gets him to admit that he deletes all the text messages and contacts from his phone with Jessica Chambers immediately after the murder. He never asked him why. Taylor said, yeah, I deleted it. He fucking never asked him why. He gets up and leaves the room. What a jackass he must have felt like on the witness stand. I mean, where did they find this yahoo? And he's supposed to be some type of federal agent or whatever? Boy, give me a fucking break. No way do they, not that he doesn't deserve it. He's guiltier than shit, but our legal system is not perfect, but it's the best in the world. And reasonable doubt is reasonable doubt. And they had reasonable doubt all day long. I would have laughed their ass out of the courtroom had I been on the jury. It had never been a hung jury, I can tell you that, if they had people that thought the same way that I did. But thank you, Sam. I love you. So the next question is from Gary, our Dream Team moderator and huge fan of the show. And he texted in several questions, y'all, and I'm just going to kind of touch on them real quick. Gary wanted to know what I would have done different had I been the detective on the scene. And we've already covered that. I would have done the larger crime scene area and, processed it, everything that I've already described. And he specifically asked a question about that. He said, would you have taped off a larger area, and would you have searched the woods around the vehicle? Certainly I would have, Gary, without a shadow of a doubt. And then Gary asked, do I think they'll try him a third time? And no, I don't. I just absolutely don't. They have nothing new that they can bring the second time, even with witnesses changing their statements and shit like that. There's no way they're going to try him a third time in the state of Mississippi. You don't have to worry about it, though, because he's never getting out of prison. And I don't know if y'all know it. If you don't, Google it. Quentin Tellis got indicted for the murder of the young lady in North Louisiana, which he was already doing 10 years for possession of or unauthorized use of her debit card, which they had him taking money out using her PIN after she's dead at different banks on video. So, state of Louisiana didn't rush the case like the boys in northern Mississippi did. They took their time. They knew they had him on the unauthorized use of the debit card. They prosecute him, get him 10 years, and they take their time to build the murder case, and they built a really good one. I was reading up on it, and his ass is done. Stick a fork in him, he's done. So, Mississippi, not so much. And Gary goes on to say that he loves real life, real crime, and congrats to my wife and I for putting it together, and that the Dream Team is awesome. And Gary, I 1000% agree with you. So thanks a lot, brother. All right, let's get to our next question. Okay, our next question is from Christine in San Diego, who I love dearly. She's a huge patron member, gets more than she has to, and also tirelessly works as a Dream Team moderator. And Christine is one of the ones who brought my attention to the Jessica Chambers case, and she has several questions. So what I'm going to do is try to break them up a little bit. So bear with me on it. But Christine, let's hear from what you have to say.
Hi, Woody. It's Christine in San Diego. I have a couple of observations for you from the Jessica Chambers documentary. Possibly you can answer them in a way that would be your take on it. Anyway, the first one I have is I can't help but laughing. The car keys. How can anyone be so stupid to take the car keys from the car and put them back where the guy found them and then take a picture? That just made me laugh. I mean, I even know better than that. Anyway, and then the next one.
I say, hey, let me touch that real quick. Christine, I was so dumbfounded by that shit, right? That is strictly, again, you think you're such a power in law enforcement that nobody's going to question you. You've been getting away with doing shitty police work, or you never handled any major cases, and you go out there and, first of all, the guy that found him, I got questions about him, right? I mean, he's a doper. and he's got all these charges. He's on parole, and allegedly he's taking his kid for a walk and finds Jessica Chambers' keys laying in the ditch, calls it in. And that's where I think the testimony was from the lieutenant or whoever he was that came out and collected, and he called himself the crime scene evidence technician or whatever. And they asked him, the defense asked him, well, how many crime scenes have you worked? And he said, none. I mean, anyway, taking the keys. What happened, y'all, was the guy calls in and says, hey, I found these keys. I believe they're Jessica Chambers. They come out, they look at them, and they identify them as Jessica Chambers' keys. And then they take the keys back and put them in an approximate location of where this guy said he found them, and point their finger in the picture at the keys. The fuck? I mean, why would you do that? I mean, that is planning evidence. That is.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Contaminating evidence, moving it. They should have taken custody of the evidence from that guy right there from his hand, videotaped it, put it in an evidence envelope, sealed it, initialed it with the crime scene tape so it can't be tampered with. Then they could have had the guy come out to the road and point. He could have pointed to the spot that he found them, and they could have put a note there that said, this is where the keys were found by such and such, so he can remember the location to testify later at a trial. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I mean, I don't get it, y'all. And for the prosecutor, it's just as much the district attorney's fault for putting this shit on as anybody. For the prosecutor to even try to let that go through, what a joke. All right, Christine, let's go.
When the prosecution was saying that the car coming out of that driveway in pitch black, dark, was Quentin, I can see reasonable doubt there because you can't tell who he is or who is in the car, and you can't even see the license plate. And it may have been him, but I think that brings up reasonable doubt. So I don't agree with that. And the other thing is about the DNA. The prosecutor kept saying that it was a match to Quentin's DNA. But that's not what the expert said. He said it could not be excluded. Not that it was a match. So I know you thought about that. And let's see.
Okay, let me touch on those two, y'all. And the audio is kind of bad on that, but she's talking about the DNA that the prosecutor said, and he built his case on it. He built his opening statement about it. He made such a huge deal, such as build up to Quentin Tellis' DNA being on the keys. And guess what? Fucking state DNA expert gets up there and says, Quentin couldn't be excluded, but they couldn't say it was him. Again, I think that is a case of the district attorney is too big for his britches, as my mama would say. He runs 5 counties up there in northern Mississippi and has had this impeccable record because he didn't try shit. It's all rural, right? But he's going to run it through, just like all this other bullshit. He's going to run it through, and I whether you believe it or not, I believe somewhere in his mind that he thinks the race card is ultimately going to get him a conviction. Black guy killing a white girl, Mississippi, he's going to get a conviction. And that is a fucking joke. And that dude should be ashamed of himself. I mean, that's pretty much almost just an outright lie to try to put that in the juror's mind, saying, oh, his DNA is going to absolutely prove that he had her car keys, et cetera. No, it didn't. And what a letdown. And who really gets, pardon my French, but who really gets fucked in this situation? Family members, right? You expect that your public officials are going to take care of you. They're going to do at least a decent job and not be such a joke. Just a shocker. And about the vehicle Christine's talking about, there was a convenience store right down the street from Quentin Tellis' house that had a camera that was pointing at his driveway. But shit, it was dark. And they had a vehicle come out at whatever time, and they swore up and down, or implied that it was Quentin Tellis coming out in that vehicle at that time of night. Fuck, you couldn't even tell what kind of vehicle it was. It could have been a Batmobile, much less Christine see the license plate. It's a joke. Again, this is where the prosecutor really screwed things, man. He implies all this stuff, but when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road and put it on the stand and prove it in a court of law, I guess he thought Quentin Tellis was going to have some joke of a public defender or something. I don't know, but you know what? Those defense attorneys did a fine job, but they had a lot to work with because the cops and the district attorney screwed it up, period. And Christine asked one more question about the cop changing one of the cops not writing a report to over a year after the murder. And what is the point of doing that? And Christine, I don't have an answer for you other than they realize, oh shit, this defense attorney is not going to roll over and take a plea bargain and we're going to trial on it. Then they start to go back and try to dot their I's and cross their T's. And then it just makes them look even stupider. The prosecution, if I was them, I would have told, throw that shit in the garbage can. You're going to make me look like a jackass. But guess what? This DA, and y'all, it's so rare that the head DA will actually even prosecute a trial. They have assistant DAs that do it. Even the big cases, the ADAs are the ones that do it. They're assistant district attorneys. And this guy, I just think, was so full of himself. He just knew he was going to get this conviction, right? Bullshit. And Christine, absolutely right. I agree with you on all of it, dear. So let's see what the next question is. Okay, one more from Christine. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't want, the audio was kind of messed up. I wanted it on my end, so I didn't want to give you bad audio. She asked to talk about the jury. And in the first trial, when they came back, the jury comes back from deliberating and they give a verdict. The judge says, have you reached a verdict? Yes, they have. And what's the verdict? They give the verdict, and then one of the jurors stands up and says, that's not what our verdict was. And the judge is like, what do you mean? It's like, that's not the way we voted. The judge gave them clear instructions that they had to come back with a unanimous verdict, and they didn't. I mean, what in the hell? I've never seen anything like, they just came back and decided because they have more votes one way than the other, that's how it was going to be. And so the judge had to re-instruct them and send them back. And naturally it came back as a hung jury. But I mean, everybody in the world that's ever watched any kind of court proceeding was shocked as shit by that, Christine. I mean, I don't know where those people were when the judge gave the instructions. I don't know. This case is just fucked. I mean, it's just bad. Everything about it is just bad. Thank you, Christine. You know, I love you. You're awesome. And I'll save that last question that you have for me for another hotline episode because I really do want to answer it. Thank you, and you're dear, and I love you very much. Thanks. All right, y'all. I have one more, and Christine had asked it, and somebody else had asked it about the cell phone testimony during the trial. Man, what a fucking joke. Okay, the cell phone. If you haven't watched it, I'll try to do a little summary on it, okay? The cell phone locations that were pinging from the tower did not match up exactly, not with the crime scene, not with Quentin Teller's house, not with the other places that they knew that they were physically at the time, the Taco Bell, whatever. And so they get this nutwig to come in and give his theory as to why they weren't in the exact locations. And it had something to do with maybe it was off by so many degrees or whatever. But look, magically, if you take this many numbers and you move it, the latitude over this many numbers, look where magically it appears on top of all these locations. Oh my God. What a shit show. There's no scientific, that's a good theory, but there's no scientific proof that what the hell he's saying is true. And y'all, I had a murder case I'm going to do an episode on that really, really messed up because of the cell phone towers. But you know what? The district attorney I was working with did. They didn't use it. They didn't use it because they knew holes could be poked in it. And it really, even though it made sense, and it really did make a lot of sense, but you couldn't prove it. And you can't fucking get on the stand or put somebody on the stand to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt if you can't prove it. In this whole case, I'm going to sum it up for you. The whole Jessica Chambers case, they screwed it up from the get-go, and then they tried to cover it up, and they changed it up, and they moved it around, and you've got, like, in the second trial, and I think I missed somebody's question, but this was another one of the questions. In the second trial, the first responders changing their statements, and people changing their statements, and did I think that was their lack of memory? No, I don't think it's their lack of memory. It's the prosecution realized, oh shit, we blew it last time, so let's try to do some damage control, right? And so they tried to go back, and I can't say that they coached them, but you damn well could tell that they coached them. They tried to say different things like she was saying Eric or Derek, whatever, and they may not have been sure the first time. Now they're certain and all this. Fucking joke, man. What a joke. And they should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. And the cops leadership should be ashamed for not training their people better and not making sure they did a better job for the citizens of that county. I mean, it really should. And the DA should be just ashamed of himself for thinking that he was going to run that home and jam it down the throat of those people. We don't live in the same world we lived in 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago where you could have got away with that shit. The judge in the trial, who in the fuck is going to go to take a jury out in the middle of the night to try to recreate the chaos of a crime scene? It's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. And I think halfway through it, he realizes it and is like, oh shit, this is crazy. I'm going to look like the biggest dumbass in the entire world. But he fucks up in the fact that he doesn't wait. He could at least wait till the defense attorney got done answering a question. He just cuts him off middle and says, this is stupid. However he phrased it, this is fucking stupid. Let's quit this and go back. We can't get anything done out here. Well, hell, that made the defense attorney look bad. And I'm not a defense attorney guy. I mean, I say that. I do a lot of consulting work now on defense cases. But shit, man, if it's bad, it's bad. And it was bad from the get-go. And the people that I feel bad for are Jessica Chambers' parents and her sibling. And they're the ones who got victimized the night Jessica died. They got victimized throughout the first trial, and they got re-victimized throughout the second trial. And I don't know how those people, if they're going to live with themselves, I don't know. But thank y'all for recommending that case to me. I found it very interesting. I found it appalling, actually. And I hope I answered your questions. And certainly, you know where I stand on it. They should be ashamed of themselves. But don't worry. I used to train the young guys that, look, if the bad guy, you don't have him just right, let him go. And if you can't build it airtight, let him go. Because guess what? He's going to continue to be an asshole, and you're going to continue to be a cop. Sooner or later, you'll dance again. And maybe the next time that you dance, the song will be your favorite song and not his. And you put him away forever. And that's what they should have done, but they didn't. But hey, the state of Louisiana's got his ass. And yes, he's a fucking murderer. I bet my life on it. And thank y'all for listening. I really appreciate you. My patron members and Hotline. Y'all, if you're not a patron member, you want to become one, check it out. rlrcpodcast.com. If you can do something, it'd be great. You get the hotline numbers and all kinds of other benefits. But go to it and check it out. If you can support us, it'd be great. If you can't, support us by liking and sharing and leaving us a review wherever it is that you listen to. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And this concludes Jessica Chambers' Hotline episode. Thanks, y'all.
Oh, she do me, oh, she do me. I don't want no dead black woman. Oh, she do me, oh, she do me. I don't want no sugar in my coffee. It make me